Welcome back to the Clown Show. I'm Peter Mansbridge. To Nova Scotia tonight, where the Premier of the province has some strong words about the recent ban on staff wearing poppies in some courtrooms. For more, we go to Rebecca Lau from Global News. Disgusting is how Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston described the decision to not allow staff to wear poppies in some courtrooms ahead of Remembrance Day. The Premier also threatened to introduce legislation to enshrine the right to wear a poppy in the workplace if necessary. On social media, Houston said, "It's come to his attention that an order has been issued prohibiting individuals working in certain court facilities from wearing poppies on duty. This order was issued under the guise that the poppy is somehow a political statement," wrote Houston. "This is disgusting," he also wrote. The judiciary confirmed with Global News that court staff members are required to receive the presiding judge's permission to wear a poppy, which can be considered a symbol of support. Quote, "To ensure the fair administration of justice, the courts must be neutral and appear to be neutral at all times, particularly inside the courtroom," spokesman Andrew Prepper wrote. "Everyone appearing in court must feel that their case will be heard fairly and without bias. As a result, all judges and staff are expected not to wear any symbols of support in the courtroom." He confirmed such conversations have taken place. "It is within the discretion of the presiding judge," he added. So they're offering a bill. Perhaps they're going to ban the poppies in some of the courtrooms here, but they're going to still leave it up to the judge's discretion. Houston wrote a lengthy social media post Thursday evening criticizing the decision, saying, "The poppy is not a political statement. The judges who issued this order are wrong," he said. He also said, "While I respect the independence of the judiciary, I respect veterans, the very people who made the ultimate sacrifice defending our country, our values, and our democracy more." He went on to say he will introduce the Nova Scotia Remembrance Observance Act, if necessary, to protect the rights of workers to wear poppies from November 1st to November 11th. Which I'll just pause right here and say, if everyone in Canada can't agree that the poppy is honoring and respecting the veterans who would have put their lives on the line or did die in order to have Canada the way it is, especially if you broke the law and you're in the courts, you're on trial, if you see the judge or the cops or whoever wearing a poppy, I don't understand. Are we in Canada? Like, if you're a Canadian, even if you did break the law, shouldn't you be proud of the people who fought and died for Canada? Like, I'm not really understanding what's going on here. It's almost like, let's get offended by everything. Let's not be proud of our heritage or our history. Let's be ashamed of our skin color. Let's be ashamed of our country. Let's be ashamed of the country we built here. It's like, we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to hurt someone's feelings who's seen the poppy in the courtroom. So a lot of effort from our leaders here deciding like what they should do. How offensive is the poppy, Should judges be allowed to wear it in the courtrooms in Canada, It's not lost on me that our veterans fought so we can enjoy the freedoms that the courts uphold. That's why I find it impossible to believe any judge would ban a symbol of respect for the fallen, our veterans, and their families," Houston wrote. So this Andrew Prepper guy said the public is welcome to wear poppies in the courthouse and the courtroom. So the public, you're allowed, so that's good. It's just, however, The judiciary pointed out that according to the Canadian Judicial Council's ethical principles for judges, the wearing or display of symbols of support, even if they may seem innocuous, may be interpreted as reflecting a lack of impartiality. I don't understand quite what they're getting at. The article doesn't really fully explain what they're getting at. I don't understand. If the judge is wearing a poppy, like, he's biased what? Towards Canadians? Towards our veterans? Towards, like, I don't exactly understand. Explain it to me like I'm 5, you know? It's on you guys to start explaining what's going on here. But anyway, we're going to keep rolling with this Houston guy. I'm starting to like this Houston guy, okay? And just before Remembrance Day last year, Houston spoke out against a Halifax elementary school requests that veterans and soldiers not wear their uniforms for its ceremonies. A community newsletter from the school said that given the diverse makeup of our school community and being responsible to our students, it would be best if members wore civilian clothing to maintain a welcoming environment. A diverse makeup of our school community, aka the borders are wide open. We just let anybody in. So of course we're going to have a diverse makeup of our community. And now it's like we can't have anything that's going to offend anybody. So almost like weaponizing empathy a little bit too much. Like, we should have empathy, we should have sympathy, but how tolerant should we be? Should we be tolerant even if our country starts getting destroyed? I don't know, guys, but in response to that school saying that maybe the veterans coming in shouldn't wear their uniforms when they're giving their little presentation, you know, Houston wrote on X that the school leaders were disgracing themselves. And then the school backtracked on its request. So this Houston guy, he's just letting them have it. I like this guy. And then last month, Houston introduced that legislation to ensure a welcoming environment for Canadian Armed Forces members to wear their uniforms in provincial buildings and spaces. The Honoring Canadian Armed Forces Members Act states that current and retired members are entitled to wear their uniforms in all places that are owned or operated by the provincial government. This would include provincial parks, hospitals, and schools. So, yeah, I like this Houston guy. He's not afraid to let you know what's going on. He's not afraid to let you know, I will get legislation going on here to fix your mistakes because it's a disgrace what you're doing here. You can't be banning poppies in the courtroom. And the whole point of having... And listen, I'm not even the biggest fan of having the army before the hockey games and the sort of military propaganda. I'm not even really the biggest fan about that. But if you're going to have the soldiers in the schools, they should be able to wear their uniforms, you know. So I say go a bit further, okay? Let them bring the firearms in, okay? Let these little kids get the full experience, you know? And they're going to scare those kids straight if you bring in those guns too, so... No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's a bit far, okay? But thank you to Rebecca Lau for that report. Now we travel overseas to check in with a veteran that said his and his friends' sacrifices made during wartime don't seem worth it. And in the end, for more, we go to Harry Warner of the London Economic. A World War II veteran who appeared in Good Morning Britain has said that winning World War II wasn't worth it. Alec Penstone was just 15 when the war broke out in 1939. He volunteered as a messenger throughout the Blitz, where he spent his teenage years pulling bodies out of bombed buildings. He then joined the Navy after promising his father he wouldn't serve on the front lines due to the horrors that his dad seen during World War I. Alec then served on submarines and aircraft carriers before he took part in the D-Day landings. Ahead of Remembrance Sunday this weekend, Penstone was asked what the day meant for him and whether he had a message to the viewers at home. He replied, "My message is I could see in my mind's eyes those rows and rows of white stones and all the hundreds of my friends who gave their lives for what? The country of today? The sacrifice wasn't worth the result. And it breaks my heart when I watch the video of this man on Good Morning Britain. And you can tell they're bringing him in here and they're just throwing him the softball questions like, what does Remembrance Day mean to you, you know? And maybe they were just expecting the old, I'm glad we fought for our freedom and this and that and this and that. But this old man, he turned 100 years old. He's 100 years old and he's letting you know the World War II wasn't worth it. All the suffering he had to go through, probably watching his people he knew. You know, I can only imagine the bond you're making when you're put together with your boys and your girls, and it's like, you know, you guys are watching each other's six. You know, no one's watching your guys' back except for you. You know, no man left behind. You guys, the bond you must form when the life is on the line, man. You're fighting for your country and all this. It must be insane, and the things he would have had to go through. I mean, imagine being D-Day, man. Imagine partaking and surviving D-Day, having to go through all that, and then here you are, cut to 2025 in some nice news studio with some nice news reporters asking you questions about the war and your participation, and, you know, they're showing you the respect and all this. And he hits you with the most brutal moment, man, the most brutal truth of, like, why did we even do it, is his perspective. Why did all those people die? Why did all those buildings get crushed? Why did all that money get spent? Why did people go through all those tortures? All the horrific things that people would have went through, man. The whole world at war. Fighting Hitler, fighting Nazi Germany, and this guy says the sacrifice wasn't worth the result when he looks around today at Britain and how you were fighting for your freedom and how you were fighting for a way of life, how you were fighting to be a first world country, right? The former British Empire, but you're like still the first world country. You're still the beacon of hope. You're still the country that everyone wants to go to. And instead of having like laws to protect your country and her beautiful citizens, we've allowed these countries to get hijacked, and now they're being destroyed from the inside out while we just sort of watch it because we don't know what to do. And this man who had to go through harder times than you and I could probably even imagine, man. You know, right now we get grumpy when the water's not working, or when this breaks, or when that breaks, or maybe this doesn't go exactly how you wanted it to, and like sometimes I get grumpy, you know? And you gotta check yourself, like, man, I have it so good compared to how brutal history was, you know? And here in your lifetime you have a man saying how brutal these world wars were and that he went through it, and, you know, if you should have the ultimate pride, you saved the world, you stopped Hitler, you stopped it, you know, theoretically. For the rest of your life, you shouldn't have to pay a meal. You shouldn't, you know what I mean? And what does this man get? I don't know, but he wasn't breaking down, but he was kind of breaking down on. It was tough to see. I don't know if you guys watched it. Maybe you should check it out. I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but this man was trying to let people know. And, you know, in my other videos, I've been saying how the World War II veterans, they'd be rolling in their grave if they were seeing what was going on here today, right? And I knew that was true. I knew it was true. But to actually have a World War II veteran go on the news and say just that, broke my heart to hear that, man. So, when asked by Ado Ray what he meant by this, Penstone added, "What we fought for was our freedom, but now it's a darn sight worse than what it was when I fought for it." So he's saying the country's worse off than what it was when he fought for it, and Anyway, responding to the veteran, okay, Kate Caraway said, the lady on the show said, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, and I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all the other service personnel. Then she says, it's our job now to make it the country that you fought for, and we will do. And I really appreciate her sensing the gravity of the moment, how much he was maybe hurting, how much he was feeling, the intensity of that moment. So I can appreciate her reaching out and comforting him with the nice words that she had, but at the same time, World War II ended in 1945, and we are in 2025. That's like 80 years later, and there's no excuse. There's no excuse you can have to have a country like Britain, a country like Canada, Australia, the United States, post World War II, all the resources you have set up, all the trades you have set up, the treaties, the power, you're on the right side here, you're the winners, you're the winners write history, you are the winners. Theoretically, things should be busting around here, things should be banging, we should be living like kings and queens by now, right? And it's gone downhill, and this downhill in 85 years to the point where you can't look the veterans in the eye and say, like, it was worth it. Look how good it is now. Look at all the things you protected. Look at all the things that you fought for that we were able to keep and hold on to because of your ultimate sacrifice. And now it's like, guys, if you think about it for 2 seconds, all that suffering, all that carnage, can you stop the wars from happening? No, you can't, I can't, things happen. The planet's complicated. Look at this map. There's a lot of stuff going on. Geopolitics, like, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of organic things going on. A lot of things being manipulated. A lot of power being thrown around. Jockeying for position. Jockeying for your agendas. The whole deal, guys. So it's like, you can't get this wrong, though. I think this is why I'm sticking on it. You can't let Alex Penstone down like this. This isn't a game. This isn't like just that. This isn't a game. This is real life here. And to have the majority of people sort of just like da 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 da, not really understand what's going on. It's like these are the real world consequences where it's like this guy, who knows what he had to see, and now he's 100 and he's been living this whole time. He's got to walk around and watch us take this for granted, you know. Just take it for granted. We say all these platitudes like thank you for your service, and then he just watches us piss away the freedom and liberties and prosperities that we had and that he watched people die for. And then all we got is like, yeah, you know, don't worry, Alec, we're going to make this country great. It's like, you're going to start today? Like, so yeah, Alec, got no answers for you, man. The country's gone to shit, and I just wish that people would, like, be straight up with you and stop beating around the bush here and, like, let you know what, we failed you, man. And we have a problem, man, and we have to figure out how to fix it, and we do it by analyzing it, finding the course of action. But ultimately, you need some action. We're not even close to action. We're still close to like trying to figure out what's going on. We're not, you know, so Alec Penstone, I'm so sorry, man. Please forgive us. We do not know what we're doing. Our final story tonight is from the National Post, where conservatives are calling for a reversal of Remembrance Day prayer ban. We go to Rahim Muhammad for more. Conservatives are calling for a reversal of a military directive that say inappropriately censors religious speech at public ceremonies. New Brunswick Conservative MP Mike Dawson told the House of Commons, "I am ashamed that our government intends to restrict public expressions of faith in our military, or in plain terms, to ban prayer. It is cowardice to ask our sons and daughters to put themselves in harm's way but refuse them the right to express their faith in God. To deny those who provide our freedom the right to openly pray is an insult to those who never came home." And you know what? New Brunswick Conservative MP Mike Dawson, you're bang on the money with that. It's a slap in the face. And we cannot stand for it, but in the same article, I'm not going to read this whole article, just the one side, we got Mike Dawson saying how it's a disgrace, and then, oh, don't worry, they got someone else giving their perspective, the other side. Retired fifth-generation Canadian Forces veteran Bonnie Critchley, who said she felt the criticisms of the new directive were overblown, saying that it's only natural for military protocol to change with the attitudes of those that serve. A direct quote from Bonnie here, quote, "Your spirituality is your own thing. Religion tends to get messy." Yeah. And I am not a religious person. I am a spiritual person. My own spirituality is my own. I absolutely do appreciate a spiritual tone versus a religious tone. Said by Bonnie Critchley, who retired in 2021 after 22 years of military service. And Bonnie, you know what? Thank you for your service. I appreciate it, but you need to shut your mouth, okay? I was so surprised that this paragraph was even in the National Post. It was like, I was dumber after reading your quote, Bonnie, okay? I mean, Bonnie's never going to see this, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, okay, so I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but religion tends to get messy. I agree. She wants to be spiritual, okay? Let me just sum this paragraph up to, like, it's all about Bonnie's feelings, okay? She doesn't like religion for whatever her reason is, which is, like, the same reason everyone doesn't like it, because, and listen, I'm not getting into your head, I don't really care, but what I'm getting at here is the majority of people talk smack on religion, think religion is stupid, think believing in God is stupid. You listen to the radio, everyone's taking the Lord's name in vain. The TV shows, everyone's taking the Lord's name in vain. Now, I don't think that the majority of people don't hate God. They're just taking the Lord's name in vain because they do on their favorite show or whatever. It's sheep behavior, okay? We got a lot of sheep behavior going on here, right? So it's like, you get a few people to do something, and eventually the flock of sheep, they just do it. It's kind of like, well, it's kind of like how the majority of people treat the customer service or the retail people, okay? You go get your coffee, you go get your whatever it is. When you're extra nice to the person, they notice, because there's so few people who are actually nice. Most people are just like very selfish, and this is what I'm getting at, guys. To simplify it and not ramble on about it, you could walk into a place, give someone your eye contact, and say, like, yo, how you doing? And they're like, well, you don't say it like that, but you say, hey, how's it going? And they're like, not bad, how are you? And they're like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. And then you're like, could I please get this or that? And then I tell you, it changes the whole interaction, guys. And you're now one of the people that when you walk in, they enjoy seeing you. You're one of the better customers. And I'm not doing it for this, but they treat you better. Whereas if you're just a person who doesn't really think about it, and you walk in and you just sort of do what everyone else does, and maybe you throw in a please or thank you, but a lot of people are really comfortable not, and they're just like, yo, give me this, give me that. And then you do it. And then at the very end, they throw a little thank you. And then that's our signal, like, oh, he said thank you. He wasn't rude. But saying that thank you at the end is only sheep behavior. You're only doing the bare minimum, dude. You got the bare minimum amount of flair. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys want to do the bare minimum, then you go right ahead. But that's the that's the energy you'll get back. You know what I'm saying? So if everyone wants to do the bare minimum and treat people like whatever, whatever, and like we're not in the mode of there's a higher power and we're not in the mode of a god. It's kind of like we're in that selfish mode. The whole world revolves around me kind of thing. Me. And that's why I drive like an a-hole, and that's why I can cut you off, and that's why I don't think anything of it. I just like ride your ass on the highway, and it doesn't matter if a deer runs out in front of us, man, because it's like I just need to get where I'm going quicker. And you're in this metal box going 90 kilometers down the highway, and it's like you don't even consider that like a couple inches here a zig instead of a zag, and it's like you could die or get messed up in these things, man. But we drive around like it's nothing. And I think that's part of the sheep behavior, the sheep mentality. It's like everyone's doing crazy double line passes, so I can do it. It just becomes a little more normalized. Rolling stops, like the whole deal. Rolling stops, everyone does rolling stops. But you know what I'm saying? Like you got the intersection with the 4 stop signs, and it's like you're just cruising, you're just chilling, you're just trying to whatever, man, and then someone's like Zint! Like everyone's driving super fast, and then you're like, why are you making this like a competition? Now we sort of have to like figure out who's going here first. And then I just say like, why don't you go ahead there, Vin Diesel? Like anyway, Bonnie, don't ever talk about religion or spirituality again, okay? Because you have nothing to say on it. You're just offended by religion. And you're actually in a newspaper because what? You served the corrupt, shitty government for 22 years, and I'm supposed to have respect for you. And because you don't like religion, we should be more spiritual. Bonnie, shut up, man. And that's the news for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. So to recap, people shouldn't be offended by poppies, okay? If you're Canadian, you shouldn't be offended by a poppy, and that's actually the litmus test. If you're offended by this poppy, as far as I'm concerned, you can get out. How about that? How about that? If you ain't Canada first, peace, okay? If you're Israel first, you can go to Israel, okay? If you love Africa, get going, you know? If you love Canada, and you want to put Canada first, you want to put Canadians first, then you're my people, okay? If you ain't those people, then you're you people. And you people, if you want to be Canadian, you can throw a couple bucks, you can try to be Canadian. We're not into this whole coming into our land, even though the government's letting you in our land, and we're just going to pretend like everything's normal. And yeah, that's not how this is going to go. That's not how this is going to go, okay? You understand? That's not even close to how this is going to go. That's how they want it to go, but it ain't going that way. So it's... You guys know how it's going. Canada first, please. Canada first, please, and thank you. Yo, Canada first, punk, right? And then it's Canada first or else, meaning like... It's like the guy from The Office Space. You ever see that one? What's his name? Milton? I started off with an office and a desk, and I'm doing a good job here, and you guys are making cuts, but you're fibbing to me, and you're coming up, and you're like, yo, Mark, Kraft 86, we're going to need you to move down to the basement. I'm like, the basement? I guess, man, you guys got the paycheck, this and that. I'll go down to the basement. And they're like, yo, Mark, Kraft 86, we're going to have to get you to leave the building. We're going to put you in the shed out back. And I'm like, the shed out back? I can't even get to the TPS reports if you put me all the way in the shed out back, man. They're like, listen... We got some crazy cutbacks. We got these guys coming from Asia. We're going to strike a big-ass deal. We need to make them real comfy. So we're going to have them right in the cafeteria, man, where we got all the food and all the comforts and everything. So we're going to need you. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. We're going to need you to pick up all your stuff and move it out from the basement to the back shed. We don't want to see you. Sorry. And I'm like, fine. And I do it. And it's like, you guys, you're lucky you're paying me good. You're lucky I need this job. You're lucky this and that. And then I do it. And I go to the shed. And then they're coming out and they're like, yo, Mark, we need you to, we need this shed, man. So we're going to need you to get all this stuff out the shed. And we're going to put you like, we're going to pitch a tent over here beside the shed. You can put your stuff in the tent. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I didn't get my check the last week, or the week before that, or the week before that. And HR keeps giving me the runaround, and the guy's like, oh yeah, you know what, they told me about that. And listen, in 2 weeks you're going to get all the checks that we owe you deposited into your account at one time. Markcraft 86, okay? So I'm just going to need you to hold on a little bit longer, okay? Can you do that for me? And I'm like, I guess. And he's like, and can you put your stuff in the tent beside the shed there, okay? And I'm like, you know what? Okay, but if I don't get all my checks in 2 weeks, I'm going to burn the building down, okay? You understand? Like, you guys understand what's going on here? It's like, if you guys want to hang out in this building and make money and have fun and have pizza on Fridays and all that stuff, that's great. But if you want to say, Mark, you know what? You're not welcome. We're going to bring all these other people from all these other company, and now, Mark, you don't have a job, and now you got to struggle, and you're not going to have a home, and you're not going to have anything. You're not even welcome here anymore in your own company here, Markcraft 86. I'll tell you what, I'm going to grab my stapler and I'm leaving, but before I leave, I'm burning her to the ground. So if anyone's got the money, dude, get the women and children out of here, okay? Because Canada is going downhill. There's going to be a fight for Canada. You're either going to put Canadians first for the first time in your life, you're either going to make Canada dope, or you're going to get out of the way, because the times for putting up with this stuff is over. It's going to continue to get worse. It's going to continue to get worse. They're going to... Oh, man, it's so funny watching people, like, get hooked on the news. Like, oh, they took immigration down a little bit. Like, oh, Bill Gates switched his stance on climate change. Like, oh, this and that and this and that. It's like, man, these people are throwing out little carrots for you. Like, when you start getting so mad, when they start knowing that, like, everyone's talking about the same thing, mass immigration and everything, like, they know you're going to get mad. They know you're going to continue to get mad. So they just take it away, you know? It's like, let me hit you with this one example, then I'm out of here. 5 years ago, this crazy virus is coming. Everyone's going to need to get vaccinated. We're going to need to keep track of all the vaccinations, so we're going to have, like, digital IDs, guys, so we can do that. And, like, people weren't really into that. They felt a bit of a backlash. Throw it out to test. See if the people, see what they do. We didn't want it, but guys are going to come back with it. They always come back with it, so... You know, people think, like, Mark, it's not as bad as you think, man. It's going to turn around. They're doing this. They're doing that. It's like, we shouldn't be here where we are anyway. So the fact that we're here is this shit ain't being run by people of good faith, okay? Let's just put it that way. That's a common theme we're hitting here. So to recap, don't be offended by wearing poppies. If you are, you ain't Canadian. My heart breaks for Alec Penstone. Truly it does. Don Cherry was right. Okay, and you guys, we really messed up when we fired Don Cherry. Okay. And what else we got here? Oh yeah, that's another thing. There's no atheists and foxholes here, guys. So if you're going to send your sons and daughters off to war, most likely some bullshit wars, so what? They're going to get shot at. They might die. They're going to watch their friends die. They're going to go through all this trauma. If they even make it. And they're going to do all that for you. But you're going to, like, what? Discipline them if you see them do the sign of the cross? You're talking about possibly banning poppies so you don't hurt people's feelings? Meanwhile, the food's kind of trash. I don't know about the water. And, like, no one can even afford a home. You're selling 100-year-old home with, like, asbestos in it for, like, crazy, stupid money. It's like, you guys are spending all your time arguing about whether we should wear poppies and if it's going to offend people who aren't even from this country, right? It's like, you guys are talking about banning prayer just because what? You don't like God because what? You watch too much TV like everyone else and they tell you not to like God? Like, dude, I'm not that impressed, so. To recap, I'm not that impressed. And Don Cherry was right, okay? Shout out to all the veterans who have, like, done their service for this country. I truly mean that, even though the government is corrupt and, like, most of the wars are illegal and bullshit, and for rich people to continue to get rich. And I refuse to live in Canada, this amazing country here, and just the whole planet's in chaos. No one can get it going. I don't believe that the people running Canada, the people running the UK, the people running Australia, they don't love you. They're getting paid. They're passing laws that they're given from the tippity top. They're passing policies that they get from the tippity top to literally destroy the country. It's literally happening before your eyes. And I'm going to try my very, very best to be calm, detach, not be mad about it. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. I know what's going on here. I'm alarmed. I'm scared for Canada, okay? So, thanks for watching. Peace.